as we're putting together the framework of the development of many of the activities that go on in our community. We're here again now with Asia Smith,
Hi,
who
thank
is
you so much.
it's really a pleasure
Yes,
again, and
thank you.
knowing her magnitude of opportunity that has evolved behind the inspiration and the concepts that she has developed in raising awareness about domestic violence
Yes.
has really broadened your horizon.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, I've talked to a number of individuals who do entrepreneurial work, and the mindset is that they really would prefer to remain anonymous, because the minute someone knows what they're doing, they're overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship that you have had in raising the understanding of the difficulty that many people have has engaged in a lot of resources that you don't really have.
Mm-hmm.
What are you able to do to make someone confident that reaching out to you is going to be something that they can be able to take advantage of and find what it is that they're looking for?
Well, one of the things that I really like to do is I just, again, like to point out that PurpleReign is not your average social service agency. A lot of times, most people, we don't go to certain areas or seek out services because we feel like there's a stigma to them, or we're not going to be accepted, or sometimes they give us options or plans that really don't reflect the lives of the individual. And so I pride our organization on the fact that we listen to what the individual is looking for, what it is that they're seeking, how they would like to move forward in their lives. And so we develop a strategy around that, something that's doable. And of course, again, it's in steps. We give out tools, and I use myself as an example. It's not just a lot of information in a book. It's not a lot of fluff. Some places they'll get you all riled up, but they don't tell you how to do it, or they don't show a real example, a working example, that is, of someone that they can relate to. And so we just really listen to what individuals need, and then we go after the resources. We help them attain those resources, because if there's something that I don't have, however, I'll pick up the phone. I love the fact that I've been able to develop partnerships with a number of organizations, agencies, city officials, and so forth. And I can say, hey, we have an individual here that is very serious and they need these types of services. I'm going to make sure that they get them. And then we, continue to go from there. And we do it, every day, and we pay it forward. So now the victims have become survivors and become advocates and volunteers, and then they're able to go out and encourage and inspire other people. So we kind of keep it going.
Reflective on the type of way in which you have been a vehicle that individuals can come to, because the way the bureaucracy really works is it's just a matter of it being an obstacle in some instances, especially if you're stressed and you really don't have the knowledge of how to be able to manage dealing with the system. The kinds of approaches that you have been able to leverage, has it been really difficult in trying to get the people who really are supposed to be helping actually help?
Well, the difficulty, I would say, started out in the beginning, because usually there are a lot of, agencies and organizations that exist on paper. I will say that much. And so we have to be diligent in doing our research to make sure that if you're advertising these particular services, that you're actually offering these services. Because the worst thing you want to do is send someone on a wild goose chase. You're already stressed. You're already, concerned about how you got in this position in the first place, and then how you're going to get out. And the last thing you need is to be given a runaround. And people fail to realize that when you are in that state, when you have been victimized in such a horrific way, you're so fragile and you're so close to the edge as it is. So we have to be really sensitive. And so I make sure, before I send anyone, before I make any phone calls, I have a relationship with these other agencies and organizations, and so I know for a fact that they are going to provide these particular services. Now, if the person that goes there, they have to do their part too. The services are here, the tools are here. It's up to the individual, however, if they're going to take advantage of these opportunities to really move forward and be happy and productive It is possible, but you have to work at it.
Well, now you really raise a very interesting point, and it's very valuable about how you have been able to manifest some degree of success, even in terms of the fact that there are obstacles
Absolutely.
based upon what those resources are and do they really exist. And there are a number of conditions that, in relationship to that fact, is relevant towards how do you keep the esteem alive, even in knowing that there are conditions that might even create a withdrawal on your behalf. You know, and I'll elaborate on this point of view. When I talk to individuals such as the street doctor and individuals like who are doing advocacy work and doing it predominantly out of pocket,
Absolutely.
you really get this frustration and have to find other ways in which either you make a decision. How do you keep those decisions focused on your service?
Well, again, when you realize, I mean, myself as an overcomer, I have to stress that all the time. That's the thing that's in the forefront of my mind all the time. And so I remember what it was like, you know, being a victim. I remember, you know, looking for services and not having that type of support that I needed. Yes, I have, you know, family and friends that love me dearly, but when you are in certain situations, we often need people that are not emotionally attached to us because, you know, we need that objective opinion. We need the resources. I don't want you to tell me what you think I should do based on you. I don't want you to tell me what you think I should do based on how you feel about me or the other person. I would like to just listen to the facts. These are the options and allow me to go forward. And so I say that to say, I keep that in the forefront of my mind. You know, yes, it can be frustrating, especially when you are advocating on behalf of individuals, especially when you are trying to get resources for people that really need the services. It can get frustrating, but you know, we cannot allow that to deter us in any way. It actually kind of pushes you forward a little bit. You know, I look at it like, okay, so you're not going to help me? Fine, I'll go about it another way. And I always get it done. You know, creativity is very important. You know, being innovative, no, is not an option. You know, okay, fine, you don't want to help? I'm sure there's someone else that will. And, you know, because of our diligence and, you know, our perseverance in the work that we do, we don't get as many no's as we used to.
In the objective view on how you have been able to find successes, are you also involved in any type of developmental training as you continue your advocacy role?
Absolutely. I am a writer. I create all kinds of different concepts. You know, we have to think outside of the box. You know, a lot of the literature and information that's out is antiquated. You know, it was written by well-meaning individuals, but a long time ago. And so our goal is not only to raise awareness, but education and empowerment are very, very important if you're going to eradicate violence. And so what I do is I've created a technology program. I've created a number of different vehicles that will, again, raise awareness, but will also help fund the programs that we have. So again, you know, with budget cuts and different social services being eliminated by, you know, the government and so forth and so on, we have to think outside of the box and become creative with what we do, because if we don't, then people are going to perish. People are dying every day, whether there's money in the budget or not. So it is important that we do develop those things. So I have a number of projects that you guys can look forward to that I'll be advertising and bringing on your show very, very soon.
Well, you know, we're looking at the aspects of how successful you've already become in relationship to your outreach. Your conferences have been really powerful. You've been having some very good people that are able to share on opportunities that are available for individuals who have gone through stressful situations. And not only that, but hearing from you now that, you know, there will be an opportunity for symposiums, for, you know, even some opportunities where you can have retreats, the way it sounds, where others can be able to develop from your concepts.
Absolutely.
It's just absolutely phenomenal. Now, those aspects certainly are conditional. And in relationship to the conditions, the way in which you've been able to progress in working with other institutions, the absorption of what it is that you offer shows to the extent that there is still a limitation in regard to how many people can really be a part of this type of training momentum. Have you been able to receive any kind of internships or individuals reaching out to you that
Yes.
want to help?
Yes, and I'm so happy that you raised that point. We've been blessed to get a number of individuals. I mean, even as early as today, at the Alice Wilson Williams Awards ceremony, I had individuals come up offering their services, wanting to be volunteers and advocates and speak to some of the clients and stuff that we serve. And I get this on a regular basis, and my heart is just so full. And I get so overjoyed because I realize that people get it. And, you know, they want to give, they want to serve. And they've been looking for a platform to be able to attach themselves to. Not just any platform, though. That's really what we have to look at, too. I mean, a lot of us want to go out and contribute and give, but finding the right place, finding an organization or an agency that, again, is doing what they say is another thing, because, you know, no one wants to waste their time. And so I have been getting a lot of calls from interns. People are responding to the articles that I write. I'm getting messages on Facebook and Twitter and in emails. It has really become something big, and I'm happy because I am one person, and this is so much bigger than just me, and it's so much bigger than PurpleReign. You know, I want what we do to be a replicable model so that other people now can take this and go out there, because there are millions and millions of victims and survivors all over this world that needs the resources and the support.
And as Asia just alluded, we are coming from an event in which was created by another one of our colleagues, Valerie Prasad, whom developed a concept of appreciating her mom,
Yes.
who happened to have been involved in outreach services and developing ways in which to be effective. And she honored a number of individuals, Asia being one of them, and I was one of the presenters involved with helping to develop a number of different alternatives for people to have in relationship to overcome a lot of their obstacles. Your mom was there with you.
Yes.
How did it feel to have your mom see you honored like that?
It felt wonderful. In fact, it felt even, I had a great sense of pride to be able to honor my aunt that was murdered at the age of 24. My mother's sister was a victim, unfortunately, of domestic violence, and her husband brutally beat her to death. And in her pocketbook, on the day that she was murdered, she had the order of protection and the picture of him stapled to it. And he still managed to blitz attack her, and, you know, as she walked home from work. And so my mother and my entire family, you know, have become such advocates for domestic violence. But, you know, my mom was there, you know, she was so close to my aunt. And in fact, she was just a couple of minutes away, you know, and so I think that, you know, she held on to that pain, you know, the grief and the guilt, wishing that she could have been there, wishing something, you know, different could have happened. And so for today, you know, as you heard, I just wanted my mother to know that I'm so proud of the strength that she has, you know, and now we're going to go forward and honor my aunt. So, you know, while she may not be here physically, she definitely is with us, you know, so it felt really good. I wish my dad, you know, would have been able to be there, but, you know, he's in my heart, and he knows how much I love him, so I had to make sure that although he was with us today, you know, he was honored, because it's, you know, my parents that really stood beside me, you know, on days that I felt like, okay, I felt a little overwhelmed, because when you give so much and you're advocating and you listen to some of the most traumatic stories that you can imagine, you know, some days I need a hug, you know, some days I need that support, and I get that from my family, so it was really good.
And, you know, it's interesting that you reflect upon your personal experience drove you to get involved with the advocacy and the outreach, and then on the opportunity to be able to help others. And, you know, just thinking about the fact that where the real concern, I believe, is really more effective and appropriate, is that not every circumstance is the same.
Right.
And thinking about that in terms of understanding what is needed in compassion and how it is important that others understand what you would go through, that it's not an easy task.
No.
How are you able to keep your civility? How do you
My
keep your
sanity?
Yeah, how do you
Yes. How? Okay. Well, again, I definitely, credit the love of my family. I'm spiritually grounded. I do say that. And believe it or not, as an overcomer of domestic violence, and I often say that I had two choices, either to become an advocate or an addict.
Oh,
And so, yes,
that's interesting.
it's very interesting. And the reason being is because, again, being a victim of domestic violence, whether it's emotional, verbal, psychological, physical, sexual, financial, whatever form of abuse you suffer, the trauma is still there. And so people often think that when an individual is, when they leave the environment or they leave the situation, that it's over, but you still have it here, and your heart is broken and your spirit is broken. And so believe it or not, working with the women and the children, even the men now that I work with, a lot of the survivors, they actually help me to, stay sane. And, it just pushed me forward because I do remember once again, where, I came from, and knowing, the fragility of life and knowing that, I could have been in prison, in a mental institution, or, even dead. And so it's my gratitude that keeps me sane. It's, it's my gratitude in knowing again that, any minute now, I could have gone, either way, but I chose to become an advocate. And that's what stays in the forefront.
Let me be a little personal with
Sure.
you because, we've known you for a number of years and we've watched the transformation
Yes.
and learned that nutrition has been also a major priority in your life. How does that approach help individuals who are going through the type of disparity that you advocate for?
Well, again, you have to have balance. It's about mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
You really need all three. You can't have one without the other. And unfortunately, when you are a victim of, any form of abuse, you're either overeating, you're not eating at all, you're starving yourself, you're developing very unhealthy, lifestyle choices, addictions and so forth and so on. And so I love to be able to say, you've got to take care of yourself. You have to begin to pour back into you, take care, and then you're feeding your mind, you're feeding your spirit, and you're feeding your body. Yes, that happened to you, and it is unfortunate. And I never take away from anyone's experiences, but it's like, okay, you lived. You are here. Take care of your body. Take care of your skin. Take care of yourself.
Love you.
Love you.
Period.
Yes,
Right,
we often, especially as women, we're nurturers, and we nurture everybody and everything. Even our plants, our pets. And
passionate.
we're passionate.
And there's nothing wrong with
Absolutely.
it if you are directing it in the right way. Because,
Right.
In many instances, that's how women get taken advantage of because of their passions.
Right.
And then it gets really encountered as a weakness. And then that weakness is taken advantage of by
Right.
individuals who
Unfortunately,
feel that they're more
yes.
powerful.
Yes.
And when we look at those circumstances and identify with them, it is a matter of what you're doing in terms of your health.
Yes.
And your health can transcend the wrong signals. And again, looking at what you have been able to do, it is giving some really positive signals. How do you feel about that?
I am so happy. I really am. It's a feeling that you can't even put into words. I remember just even again the time that I went through all of those things, and I was looking for some services and just looking for a support group, and I didn't have anything. And so I said, well, if I'm going through this, I know for a fact that there are other women. If there are millions and millions of individuals that suffer abuse on a daily basis, where are we going? We're internalizing it, we're self-anesthetizing, it becomes so destructive. Even when we're not hurting other people, we're hurting ourselves. I remember I was, so depressed and just so, just broken and ashamed and embarrassed. So I remember I went from, I had 2 stages. First, I completely began overeating.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, I didn't eat.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
The withdrawal
eat. Right. I
process,
just,
yeah.
so you're kind of like all over the place. And
Right.
so now to see that I'm able to stand as a vessel, to stand as a beacon of light and say, there is life after abuse. There is love after domestic violence. You can love again, but you have to first become whole, first love you, apologize to yourself, forgive yourself, because, we beat ourselves up, after we come out of that. How could I let this happen? Why did this happen to me? We think of all these things, and, once we go through that phase, again, it's like the 5 stages of grief. Once you go through them, you're angry, you're upset, you're all these things. Take it and channel it and turn it into something positive. And that's what Purple Rain has been. It's been a platform for me to not only turn it into something positive for myself, but to also show other individuals, men and women, that you can turn your tragedies into triumph. I love that part.
Wow.
That's the
And I know that as, we're discussing Purple Rain, and many of us from the old school know that it was an idea that was cultivated from a presentation by the recording artist Prince. It had a great deal to do with the concepts that you relate to, but the acronym itself means something totally different.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to just point that out. As many people may know, the color purple is synonymous with power and royalty and healing and love, but it is sadly the color that represents domestic violence. And then the word REIGN is an acronym spelled REIGN for restoration, empowerment, integrity, grace, and nobility. We can reign over abuse. We can reign over trauma. We can reign over the indifferences, and so I wanted to think outside of the box. Most people are like, Purple Rain? Why would you pick a name like that? Well, domestic violence is something that's outside of the box.
True.
We cannot approach it, the way that it's been approached for so many years. That's why the numbers continue to grow. We have to see it for what it is, and then, also reach people where they are. I love the fact that it starts out as, that's a Purple Rain song. At least, a Prince song. At least you'll never forget me. You'll never forget Purple Rain. You'll never forget the organization.
Well, it really does fit. And I think that,
Absolutely.
again, through your inspiration and the creativity, the unique value of it, it certainly does represent a quality that many people can be able to trust. And, just knowing that you have a real, genuine interest in wanting to understand, not just to the extent of adding numbers to your volume,
No.
but really to help create a path that individuals
Right.
would not ordinarily have been able to receive
It's
without
about
you.
quality, not
Exactly.
quantity. And, I look at the number of lives we impact to dictate and determine our success. Not the number of people that call, but the number of people that we impact in a positive way. And from the time, it doesn't matter who you are. Some organizations or even some places, they look at people in terms of their economic status or their educational status. Whether you're a waitress, whether you're an attorney, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a student, whomever you are, if you are a victim or a survivor of domestic violence, sexual assault, or any form of abuse, you deserve the same respect, the same services, the same love and support as anyone else. And so that's where we measure our success, and I love that. I get sometimes, again, as a result of the articles that I write, I even get a lot of elderly people calling me. And the one thing,
good to hear.
yes, I love it because I want the elderly people to understand that they are not forgotten.
Exactly.
That there are people out here that love them, that will advocate for them, that will stand, with them and be their voice when no one else listens. And when I get the calls sometimes from individuals that are in nursing homes or in assisted living programs, they'll always say, well, I know that you're busy. And I know that I'm like, I am not too busy for you. However much time you need, if you need me to come where you are, if you need me to make a phone call, you would do that for me? Absolutely, I would do that for you. And, and you can just hear their countenance, you can just hear, I can tell just through the phone that they're smiling, that they're happy, that someone took the time to recognize them and to listen to them, because usually that's really what people want, just someone to listen to what I'm saying, to validate my feelings and my experiences and to help me to navigate through them. You know, and once we do that, you know, once you give individuals the tools, then they're okay.
Right.
You know, I know for me, you know, at the time that I went through what I went through, I just needed to know that I wasn't crazy.
Right.
You know, I just needed to know that my experiences were real. And once I was able to actually understand what they are, name them, then I was able to go forward. But it's only until you begin to understand what you're feeling, what you're going through, then you can actually navigate your way through those experiences.
And it's always about the fact of you knowing how to experience what you're going through.
Yes.
And there are opportunities with people like
Yes.
Asia who will be available to help you be able to overcome a number of those obstacles. Asia, again, we're following you. You know that we're real on you.
Thank you.
If anyone is interested in finding out more about Asia, they can be able to contact us through our internet access, and we'll be able to provide telephone numbers. And not only that, but we're going to continue to share with you the events that she's going to be having in the
Absolutely, yes.
future. And we're going to be looking forward to having more conversations
Thank
to bridge
you.
the relationship of letting you know that the collaboration between We Care Partners and PurpleReign is a solid one, and we're going to be
Absolutely.
focusing on making sure that each and every one of you have access as often as possible.
Thank
Asia,
you so
thank you
much.
so much once
Thank you for
again.
allowing
We're
me.
looking forward to making sure that this gets
Okay.
out across
For
all of
sure.
our communication
Thank you.
networks.
Thank you, and live for love.
Live for love. Thanks again.
Okay.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.